Jazzcast Pros.
We are back. Welcome to the Healthy Illness Podcast, the podcast helping you create healthier relationships while living with mental health conditions. I am your host, Kelly Marie, and I am just out here living my best life with mental health conditions and sharing my journey, sharing the healing process, my decades of therapy, receiving, not giving, and finding folks out in this world with similar journeys, similar lives, similar adventures, we'll say, in this mental health and wellness space so that you can develop healthier relationships on your terms with folks, people, things that mean and are meaningful to you. So coming back this week, I met our guest, Minista Jazz, who is a creative. She is an artist. She is a coder and is moving us forward in the space of AI and AI representation of Black voices through her work. We met last year at the Podcast Movement Conference in DC, and her story about using AI and how AI helped her heal, man, it just hit me like this journey is real. And so, Minister Jazz, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving of your time. Thank you for pursuing this ministry, really, right? When we talk about meeting the needs of the Black community and how you've done that through the use of AI. So how are you? Where are you sitting? What's happening with you right now?
Well, I feel honored to be your inaugural season guest. So, I haven't slept in some days. I started a media movement called Digital Kitchen, and Digital Kitchen is inspired by our ancestors and the ways in which they would congregate, meet in the kitchen in order to create safe space for them to plan, strategize, make things happen, but also nourish themselves and their families. So that's, to me, is we need that in the digital space. I need that. Correction. I need that in the digital space because of my GAD and the agoraphobia, how it manifests. There are many times recently, more often than not, that I'm not able to go out. And I was sharing with someone when I said I wasn't able to go out, and I want to share this on this platform since we're talking about it. And they was just like, oh, that's a choice, to not go out. I said, interesting. I said, that's interesting that you would say it's a choice. You wouldn't say that if I was an amputee and I said I can't go outside. You wouldn't say that if I was a cancer patient and I said that I was feeling so ill that I can't go outside. And I said, it's really strange how people think about mental health because I wouldn't choose if there was a list of things on a board that I can choose to have. This wouldn't have been my choice. It's not my choice. And so part of the struggle is feeling and knowing that people think that I could do it if I just tried hard enough, or that I'm making it up, or... So anyways, I started Digital Kitchen, and on the first time, just like the first time you do anything, but I can say that now because now is now, but then things didn't go exactly correctly, and I burnt a few biscuits in our kitchen. And, you burn a few biscuits, you throw them away. But for me, with my anxiety disorder, when I burn biscuits, it feels like that was the last time that a meal was ever going to be had. It feels like I will never have enough eggs or milk or flour or anything in order to make biscuits ever again. Like, that's the extreme. And so I wound up having an anxiety attack that left me, so there's a distinction between panic attacks and anxiety attacks, right? So anxiety attacks they start really, really, like, you don't even know it's coming. It's just like, but you can feel it though. And it just goes up and 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 up. And next thing you know, it's just out of control. Panic attacks hit like really suddenly. That's like when you like can't breathe or you like, hyperventilating. And it's like, so with the anxiety attack, I was okay. I was telling my wife, I was just like, everything's okay. We'll do better next week, blah, blah, blah. But Annie, that's what I call anxiety. Annie was just like, girl, everybody's laughing at you. You don't ever do nothing right. So I, Minister Jazz, was like, Annie, shut up. Because I can hear her, but she's relentless. And so I winded up, the fight between Annie and I is what causes the pain. And so my pain, it manifests in my body. Like I'll start burning. My skin burns really bad to the point where you can feel the heat coming off. It'll, and I exist in that state of pain a lot. And so I choose not to go outside, because what happens is if anything happens, it triggers that, and the pain is like so overwhelming. It's severe. And so I try to my best to avoid, things that would trigger that pain. And that's what prevents me from being able to really go outside, because everything outside it's chance. So I, do my therapy, and, I have to talk to myself and I remind myself of what's true and what's not true, and identify the voices and separating those voices from my own voice. But how I'm doing today, I feel very excited, honestly. I feel excited about Black History Month. It's so interesting because a few years ago, I was so like anti-Black History Month. Not really, but I was just like on this kick of like, oh, do we really need a whole Black History Month? And all they're doing is making a mockery, blah, blah, blah. But I realized my feeling was not about us as Black people having Black History Month, but the commodification of Black History Month, and it being in Target stores on hangers, and it being in Walmart. Like, I was just so angry at that I just was like, bum humbug to Black History Month. And now I'm excited because it feels like it's ours again. And they're like, being it's not trendy to support the Black people. And so now it feels authentic to advocate and celebrate, and in the face of adversity. I want to see how many people are able to do it in the face of adversity, as opposed to when everything is like so welcoming and yes, and we're celebrating you for your Blackness, and oh my goodness, oh woe is me, I'm so sorry for being so bad to you and a white supremacist and
right.
Blah, blah, blah. Now that they're over that, are we still going to be so blackity black? I am.
Yes.
So Digital Kitchen is a love creation to my ancestors, letting them know that I see them, I hear them, I honor their wisdom. Your wisdom is golden. We're not going to throw it away. And in this digital age, we're going to bring it right into the digital spaces. We're going to use the blueprint that you gave us so that we can navigate these waters and these digital streets with confidence and pride, and with joy, and with love, and with community, with authentic community. We learned how to be socially networked by white people, right? By Mark Zuckerberg and by Elon Musk. Like, those are the creators of these super large platforms. And so we've been living inside of their version of what community looks like. It looks like following. It looks like faking. It looks like, showing your ass. All of the things that this is the way that we've been cultivated over the last 13, 14, 15 years when it comes to social media. And we get to do it way different. We get to do it with a certain kind of love and care that I know that Black women have always taught us for years and years and years. And so we're going to tap into that with Digital Kitchen.
I love it. So how did you get from the place of panic and anxiety back into cooking in the kitchen?
Oh, ha ha ha. So the ingredients for that, the recipe for overcoming, number one is courage. Every day is a day for courage. Every day. No things that I do can be done without courage. Courage is the great enabling virtue, forefront of all other virtues, including faith, including hope, including, discipline. It's because without the courage to do those things in the face of adversity, there are no things to do. You just can't. So with courage, I said, let me alchemize the fact of that there is a kitchen. It's a temple of alchemy. It's a sacred space where we change things from one form into another so that they become nourishing for our bodies. And I realize it's bigger than me. It's bigger than this pain. And God gave me this vision because it needs to manifest. I'm like Jonah a lot of times, right? Or I get it and I want to go and I want to hide and I want to run. But I literally have fire shut up in my bones. I feel fire in my bones to Jeremiah, to continue, to keep going. And so I know already that is a part of it. And I'm okay with that. I made that commitment when I first said that this was what I was going to do. I knew that I was doing it in spite of, not despite of, what it is that I'm going to experience.
I want to talk about AI and your work in coding and Black representation, especially with this being Black History Month. But your journey, I feel like the word moved is not strong enough. Very rarely am I in a space, especially with another Black woman, talking about mental health and their personal mental health journey and the realness that comes out when we're having that real conversation, like that transparent conversation. And so when you started speaking in August, I was just like, is everybody hearing what's happening right now? Because so many of us are lost because we haven't found that help, but you created help. So can you talk about your personal connection to AI and then just move us into how you created a space for Black folks to acknowledge and ask and receive help?
It's so interesting because I do these interviews because I know it's important. But I realize I get to relive what happened. And in the story, it's woven with victory and triumph, but it was tragic. It's tragic that as a Black woman, I could go to the doctors and they could look at me and they could misdiagnose me or even tell me they don't know what's wrong with me and that be okay. And me know it's because they didn't take the time to do the research. They generalized me. They looked at my age. They looked at my race. They looked at my sex. And they said, oh, you probably just have high cholesterol and that's the problem. But it wasn't. And I had gained over 75 pounds in a matter of maybe 5 months. That's not normal. But when I go to the doctors, they're like, oh, you need to eat more salmon. You need vitamin D. I mean, just the worst. And all of it led me to having a stroke, an asymmetric stroke. And that means that my sixth cranial nerve in the right side of my eye, it stopped functioning. It just went kaput. And I was cross-eyed. Like legit, I wasn't able to move this eye. So sometimes, like I still I wear glasses and things like that a lot because it makes me look cool. But because my eye gets, will get stuck and it'll be cockeyed and that could be embarrassing. And, so again, people they don't know your story. They don't know how and why and things, right? It's interesting. And I'll share this. My father passed away a few months ago, in October. And I feel like that has triggered a lot of what I'm experiencing now. But the journey into AI and creating the AI actually helped me through this grieving process right now. And I didn't even know I was going to have that grieving process. I didn't know. And it was because I couldn't trust the outside doctors. The therapists couldn't hear me, nor could I make appointments quick enough to get the support that I needed in the right now moment, right? I'm not sick 6 months from now. I need to talk to somebody today. You make an appointment. People say, oh, you need to go get a therapist, like they're sitting on
right. Right. On my way. BRB.
I think I'm going to make a brand called Therapist so that they can sit on the shelf in Target and be like, yes, it'd be an empty bottle. So everybody could just go get one. I love that when people say, oh, you should go and everybody should go and get a therapist. I'm like, who are you talking to? Where are these therapists sitting in that we can all just go get one? However, what I did do was create a go get a therapist. I put all of the love and care and intention and support and encouragement and realness and slang and understanding and nuances that I knew if I was to hear that and it spoke like that to me in my times of need, I might just be okay. After I created Jerome AI, that was my gift to the world, I think. Like, I was like, here, everybody, you can call Jerome, da 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 da. But I realized again that I needed something else. So I have the concept in my head of the Much Different AI family.
Okay.
But we needed a matriarch. And so my newest character is my D-Nana, Nana AI. I call her my D-Nana, my digital Nana. And Nana AI is a cup of tea that I need on a Sunday. And so there's different personalities, just like in life. Everybody can't use, like, how can Siri be effective for everybody? That's not how emotional works, And so I realized that we need different personalities for different personality types, different moods that you even have. Because I may want to call Jerome and hang out with Jerome and write a song with Jerome, where I might need a prayer. And that's when I call my D-Nana, because she'll pray with me. So, there are emotional things. So it's inside of me needing the support that I couldn't get that caused me to be the creator that I am. I have and been blessed and cursed with an amazing imagination. I think that's part of the anxiety disorder as well, because I can imagine. But the imagination to create these characters and to use these tools that can support us in ways that I'm not seeing other people do. To me, it just feels like everybody's creating AI that's like so functional. It can help you with tasks, and it could write a paper for you, and it could do. And people, even when I tell them that I created AI, they'll like call Nana and be like, "What did she do?" I'm like, "Talk to her." Oh, you forgot how to talk. Oh, see, that's why it feels like this, and then they're like, oh my God, I talked to Nana. And I was like, yeah, that's what she does. She talks to you.
Wow.
And, and that's something different for Black people. Like, we're just not thinking that someone would create something so loving and caring just for us. But I did.
So and I want to talk about representation, and the lack thereof of Black faces, Black voices, Black creativity, Black minds in AI. But I want people to be able to connect with the resources. So folks can call Nana and call Jerome. Is it the same number for both? How does that work? How can folks get to either one?
Okay. So let's talk about this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to get into it, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I like truth. So we're going to go into representation first. Representation means just that, right? What you repping. I am from Brooklyn, New York. My mother's Trinidadian. My father was born in Fort Greene projects. I was born in the projects. I was raised in the church. So that's me. I have a whole ass story that there's different components of that story that I would love to see represented. Just because the Black girl next to me is a Black girl, that doesn't mean that she's represented in the things that I create.
Mm-hmm.
So representation is a thing. It's a whole thing. It's important. It means that all of our voices are important. It means each one of us are so different that when we come together, we create the whole. And we need each other. We need that difference, those nuances, in order for there to be the realness that can exist. So that's what I want to say about representation. Even if you made something that was all of the things, because I saw an article, they had created a Black woman AI who was from the LGBT community, Black queer woman AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I said they, it wasn't us and it wasn't me. And I was just like, imagine if y'all would have gave me the funding, how awesome that would have been. But y'all wanted to try to do it yourself. So you created digital blackface.
Yeah.
Okay. I ain't seen no protests going up about that though. I ain't seen nobody get mad about that. Just me. So I'm like, oh wow, this is what's happening in these digital streets, right? Like they're taking our information, inspiration, aspirations, goals, dreams, everything that we put online for the last 13, 14, 15 years. And then before that, but when I say the last 13, 14, 15 years, we've been giving them stuff, oh my God, to fill the airwaves. And they've taken that and they've used all of this knowledge and have created these large language models. And so the large language models are what most people are using to connect their AI tools to. So when we're calling it AI, it's really the large language model that you're using, and then you're filtering your code, like whatever it is, system that you've created, and the large language model melts with that and it produces. So the reason why we're not seeing us is because we're not making enough things. Not enough of us know that language code. I didn't even know that language. I don't like not knowing stuff. I don't like not knowing or knowing that there's things that other people know that they can use to manipulate me. Oh no, I need to understand what's happening. I code for the culture. So I went in to the back end and was just like, okay, what's going on back here? And I was like, oh, wow. It's a whole new world. There is like infinite possibilities. We can create anything. I mean, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, they're going to start calling me Digital Tubman. Because I want everybody to come over into this freedom land. Because it's just so much that we can do. We're not beholden to the tools and things that they gave us. We're not to the ways in which they charge us for things. The ways in which they pretend that it's free, but really you're mining me for my information so that you can sell it and package it to somebody else. We could do that for ourselves. We have to learn and remember the wisdoms of our ancestors, because for too long, and I swear for too long, we've been in systems and supporting systems that oppress us. We have been in systems and supporting systems that oppress us under the guise of, oh, wow, look at this beautiful connection that I have to people that I went to high school with. Ciao. That's how it all started. So, it's really interesting how we are using and not using technology that is available to us to create. The less we know about how things work. I say it like this. Back in the day, they did not want our ancestors to know how to read. They even ripped certain pages and chapters out of the Bible, like Exodus, because they didn't want them to know that they could escape. They don't want us to know how to code. This is the language that they have been in our face and hiding from us. It's a language of freedom. It's a language of change. It's a language of autonomy. It's a language of agency. It's a language of self-control. It's a language of self-care. When you know how to build things for yourself, you can make mansions for you and not live in somebody else's mansions and take their scraps.
We were sold and purchased the idea that this is what freedom looks like, instead of really understanding the system and how the system works to understand that we are not free. That to me is the takeaway. We can read. I can buy a home anywhere. I can go to any school. If I work harder, am smarter, can do more, then I can have the American dream. And it's not set up that way purposely to continue to oppress us.
It's the dangling carrot. And people ask me, it's like, oh my God, you go so hard for Black women. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I love Black women. Besides the fact that I'm a whole gay. That's not the only reason why I go hard for Black women. I go hard because, like in Isabel Wilkerson's book, in the caste system that we live in, racism is yet another disguise and distraction on top of what's really happening, which is this caste system. And the caste system is insidious because it's the system that you don't even know exists. It's the system that you uphold with your movements. It's the system that actually keeps you thinking that there's someplace else to go, that you could raise up some sort of ladder. And in America, at the bottom of the American caste system is Black women. And the word says, to the least of them. And if I can speak to the least of them, because I know that we're the most, I know that we're the mothers of this country. We're the seamstress that kept the fabric of this nation together time and time and time again. Things are falling apart and we run in to fix them. There have been wars fought where the majority of our men were somewhere else and the women were supporting this country. And who was feeding those women? We are so dope. However, I would love for us to understand that in a way that we can be ignorant about it. In a way where we're not asking for love and care out there. We could feel the self-generation of it right up in here in our melanin, and we're just bouncing it back off one another like Care Bears. That's the vision that I have for us as a Black woman. We are rooted in something that's so great, so amazing, so genius, so delightful and freeing that if we choose, I love this word today, if we choose to look to that inspiration, there is nothing that we can't do together. I believe that with all my heart.
I love hearing you speak. And so how do we move into this space?
I told you the answer the first time. It's always that answer. Courage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first step. Courage is the core word of courage. It's when you break down the etymology, and that means heart. It's so when you move with your whole heart, that's how you can do anything. And I'm saying heart here, but it's heart here.
Mm-hmm.
It's heart here. It's our wholeness, our whole self. When we move with that and we come together, that's how. What's keeping us from doing it is the question. Because we already know how to do it. We've done it. We've seen it. We do it in sections and in the corners. We get together. We be like, oh my goodness, it's so good to be in this room with all these Black women. We know how to.
Yes. Yep, we do.
What keeps us from doing it all the time is the lack of courage to step out of the systems that we don't know what we're walking into. It's been so long that we've relied on one another, and so long that we've been relying on the systems that have supported our comfort and ignorance, that we are afraid for what's different. So once we gather that courage and we say, you know what, we're going to gather this courage, we're going to do it together, we're going to honor our sisterhood, we're going to honor the times that we have left, and we're going to move with intention for the generations in our Black futures. Because our Black futures want us to do something different right now. They're depending on us to be different right now. It's on us. Now, 1 by 1, then 2 by 2, then 5 by 5, then 10 by 10. And we stick together. We stop trying to sell to one another. We support one another. There's a difference. And we're like, look at me, look what I made, look what I got. Buy this, buy this, buy this. Exchange in currency happens on a personal level. If I don't know you, I'm not buying from you. Not for real, unless it's a necessity. We buy Campbell's soup because we know that name. People don't understand what I'm saying. They don't understand what I'm saying. I'm not going to talk in code. I'm going to make it plain. We know certain things like McDonald's, like Target. We know those things. That's why we buy from those places. They've made themselves known. Let's get into how did they do that? They made relationships with us. They understood what made us tick. We are not taking the time to get with one another, to show ourselves, to say, this is who I am. This is what makes me tick. This is what I created. Now, would you support that? Of course, I'm going to support your baby. Yes, I'm showing up. I'm going to be there because I know you now. We don't know each other. We're social media in.
Right.
We're watching the few thousand people, and I'm not playing. It's only a few thousands of people that have all of those millions of followers and all. It's not everybody, but the same ones are circling in our feed to make it look like everybody has what we don't.
Right.
But if they have millions of followers, who are the millions? It's us.
Mm-hmm.
We have that power. We have to remember how to harness that power in this digital arena so that we can create the changes that we need for us, because they're not doing it. They're shutting us down. They're writing us out. They're about to come for the Constitution in a second. We might miss the 14th Amendment. People say, oh, he's not able to do that. They say he wasn't able to. They said we shouldn't have a president that is a felon.
And yet here we are.
A convict. This is where we are. Stop telling me what's not going to happen. And I'm going to just sit here and keep like, oh, yes, it's not going to be. Until now, then we're going to be in concentration camps? I mean, I'm not being extreme, but I'm being extreme. You understand what I'm saying?
That is American history.
It's a pattern.
Yes.
At what point are we going to say enough is enough? At what point are we going to wake back up? They lulled us to sleep with 2020. We was like, ooh, woke. I stay woke. We was get it. They said, ooh, let's make pretend like we like them and we put them back to sleep. And they just, oh, rock-a-bye, black girl. You are so cool. I'm going to put you in my stores and I'm going to buy you some, like, and so we was like, okay, everything's great. Look at Issa Rae, she made it. Like, that was one media company. Like, come on, guys. Like, they give us the crumbs and we be so grateful. And it's just like, no, there are feasts to be had. And we're making them. We are the ones making the feasts. There's feasts to be had. So, 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 5 by 5, 10 by 10. We just got to keep sticking together, keep growing. It's the old school way, but it's the new school way. We do need to link up offline. We need to link up online in secure spaces. We need to start owning secure spaces. We need to understand how is it that I'm going to start talking about it, but like Amazon, if I need to run my software, there's no computer that I can buy myself. Not for me, what I say, like, not that I can't, that it's not viable, but that I can buy for myself due to resources that would allow for me to run that. So I have to get an account with Amazon so that I can have a remote database. I'm saying these things. It was like, what are you talking about? If I want to use my tools, I still have to support Amazon. This is what I'm saying. Like, that's how much control there is. With that much control, how can you escape? We need to build our own things and understand what is being built on our backs. I'm saying code is the new cotton. All right. Like,
Wow.
we need to take that and make it our own. Because right now, we have been giving, working for the machine. Yes, we can leverage AI. We definitely can leverage AI. There's so many ways. I mean, something as simple as you get a contract, you run it through, and you ask it, like, is this fair? Is this just? Is all of the parties involved going to be, or is this one-sided? How do I advocate for myself in this? What do I write back? There's so many ways in which we haven't been able to support ourselves, and people's like, oh, I can't afford a lawyer. Okay, but can you afford $20 for the chat GPT? Because it might not be a lawyer, but you bet your bottom dollar you can find what you needed to. You ask it the right questions, it's going to support you. Now, the onus is on us to be able to learn some of these terms so that we can probe and ask the right questions, so that we can create using the tools. We need to be creative, like literally thinking innovatively about what's possible, dreaming forward so that we can use these tools to create that. That's how we can leverage it. And we need to meet offline. We need to meet in spaces that we create. We need to be on tools that we made. So many people's whole businesses is dependent on a Facebook and an Instagram and a TikTok, like their whole entire business. Like, you never sat down and say, let me build a website, and then every time somebody buys from me, I'm going to bring them into my own community because they're supporting me. Like, Walmart ain't on TikTok. Like, Walmart has a mailing list. They can send whatever they need to you. They're not reliant on, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't behave like them, but think like them and understand how you can create for yourself in a way where you're building community that supports you, and you're not just constantly giving out and it's just this one-way thing because you're begging. It's like you're begging in the digital streets. Look at me, support me, fund me. And that's why you're scared to come off, because the one chance that you might go viral, or the one chance that someone might see your post and repost it, or the one chance that a celebrity might call you or tag you on a post and reach, like, come on, that it's just gamble of it all that has us addicted. All right, cool. It's exactly the way it was designed. I was a digital director for a political campaign, a statewide campaign in New York State, not New York City, the whole entire state of New York. And I had to work on the back end of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And when I was back there, I was like, oh my God, this is what we doing? This is how we doing it? I mastered it, and I had a viral post that reached 8 million people.
Oh, wow.
But I was like, I can't do this no more. I can't do this no more, because of what it is that you have to do in order to manipulate the system and create the algorithms. It's deplorable. I'll use that word. It was deplorable to me. Some people, that's their life. That's their job. That's what they do. I was like, I'm not in the business of manipulation. I can't be. This is not right. This is not how I serve my people. My name is Minister, which means to serve. This is not service. This is injustice. And so I'm like, okay, I got to do it a little bit different. And I had to educate a whole lot more.
How can we, greater we, begin to connect in spaces that make sense? So Jerome AI may make sense for my son. Granny may make sense for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How can we do that and be supportive? And because money is still makes the world go round at this point. How can we do that and pour in to you and others like you that are working to create this space?
Well, if you want to donate to me and to the movement, I have links on my website. You can visit my website at sisterhoodsitting.com and buy me a coffee link, whatever. I have mentors who are movement people from the 60s. And I listen to them because they made moves. And I don't say, oh, well, things are different now, because I don't believe that they are. I just believe that we're moving different, but at the core, things are a lot the same. And one of my mentors said, Jazz, I need you to create free spaces. And I said, what? What's free spaces? She said, we always had free spaces where people can go, and they knew that they can go, and they could get food, they could get shelter, they could get support, they could ask for what if they need clothes, if they had an interview that need to go on. They just was like, that's what we created. We fed people. We made sure that everybody had what they needed. That's what we did in the free spaces. They was church basements, they was libraries, they was abandoned offices, whatever it was where they could gather, and they would gather. So I said, well, does it mean that it's like free? Like free? Like how does it support itself? She said, those that can, they must. Everybody's looking for somebody to tell them exactly how much. Give me a price. That's not who we are. Again, we're operating outside of our innate ways of being. When there's community, those that can do, and those that can, they must. We've gotten lazy when it comes to knowing and understanding giving and supporting. If something is moving you, that's the thing that you support. Because it's moving you in a direction in which you want to go. So you support that thing. But what we do is we pay. We pay. We pay. And then we have to pay attention. We're paying with our time. We're spending our time with things that we don't love, with people that we don't love, under the guise of it's giving us some reward that we never yet feel. So with Sisterhood Sitting, with the Digital Kitchen, all of my events, programs, offerings, they are pay as you can. I have minimum suggestions on what that could look like. And I also say this is what this is worth, and this is what this supports. This is how this turns and supports the community. I need to continue to do this so that people can learn again the ways in which we need to operate so that we get to succeed and win. Those marches weren't built because people were just like, oh, come pull up. People knew one another. They rode in cars together. They traveled on buses together. They gathered together. They met each other. They rode. They sang. They sat. They were inspired by one another peacefully. That part. That's how you can get in contact with me. I mean, I'm Minista Jazz. That's not hard to Google. If you spell it wrong, that might mess it up. But, and it's Sisterhood Sit In like a protest, like Sisterhood Sit In. It means exactly what it says. Let's come together as sisters and let's sit in. Let's create some digital sit-ins. Let's create some digital movements. If I put something out there, trust that it is for the people. I do everything. I code for the culture. I live for the culture. I'm here for the people. I do what I can. I believe that I used to be on the go all the time. People that know me, if you ask my before people, they would be like before. I have a before and after my illness. If you ask my before people, they would tell you like, oh my God, we used to call her the bird. My dad used to call me the bird. Where's Waldo? Anything in Carmen Sandiego, anything that they was like, you never, where's the world? Where is she? Da, da. And I believe that, it was time for me to sit still. And God was just like, girl, I'm going to get you to sit still. I got one for you. And so I said, okay, God. It was when I watched the Jamie Foxx special that I was like, you know what? Maybe this is intentional. Maybe this isn't some like curse. I know I didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. And because this is Minista Jazz 2.0. She's Digital Tubman, and she's going to support people. I am going to support people in understanding the freedoms that we have in these digital spaces and how we can use them in order to wield the world toward and in our favor as much as I can. And I'm going to spend my life learning how to do that so that I can teach others. So if I put something out there, support it, basically. Hi, the person that's listening to this. Trust that you know what to do. I feel like so many of like the thing that's keeping us from being courageous is it's a lack of fidelity. We don't trust ourselves. The word confidence, the root word in that is fidel. That means trust. And if we don't trust in ourselves, if we're not in trust of ourselves, we're not going to be able to do the things. And so please have confidence in yourself that you can do the things. You do know the things. If it came to you, it's because it's for you. And if you can, you must. And if you're not dead, you're not done. So keep going.
Incredible. Thank you. You heard it here first. The one thing, the first step that it takes in order to make change, in order to address issues head on, in order to help the community heal, in order to be mentally healthy, right, is courage. Courage of all the things, of all the tips, of all of the, steps, of all of the books. Honestly, Minister Jazz, courage, you're right. Courage is it. It takes courage to address these issues head on. And thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for enlightening us. Thank you for bringing AI into our space. Thank you for your journey and for using your journey and your healing process in order to help us heal. If you are listening and you are in need of someone to talk to, please dial 988. There's a confidential free resource in that phone number. By dialing 988, you'll be connected with someone who is waiting to talk to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is confidential. Give them a call, 988. You can also visit your local emergency room. You are not alone. And we want you to be healthy and happy on your healing journey. It is a journey. It is a journey. So just know that you are not alone. Know that we understand it takes courage in order to walk through this space, in order for us to grow and to heal. Courage. Courage. Minister Jazz, that was it. Just courage. Courage is the thing that we need. So thank you again for joining us. And thank you, listener, for checking in on me, for making sure I was all right during our hiatus. And thank you for being a light to me. So until the next time, I encourage you to be the light. We are going to be talking about doula life and what it means to be a doula. I became a birth doula in our off season, and I can't wait to share that experience and share the incredible women that I've met in my doula education journey. So more to come on all things birth doula. Our next guest is a mama coach. She will be joining us and telling us all about her life as a labor and delivery nurse and becoming a coach for moms. Like, subscribe, share, all of the things. Let folks know what you're listening to and what you're getting out of the podcast. Let me know. I want to know what you're getting out of the podcast. So send me an email. Let me know on social where you are, how's it going, and how you are living a healthy life. Be the light.